Perfect. So thank you very much, guys. You're going to see me looking at the screen and on here. So this is me trying to coordinate. And a lot of you guys know me. I'm a little bit under-coordinated, so stick with me today. Just wanted to say a big thank you, first of all, to the Leo guys for joining, doing a sterling job to support us here. I'm going to hand over shortly to David and Dal just to do a little bit of a start piece from the platform. Then myself and Pete from the founding team, we're going to take over from there and just guide you through a short session today. We want to keep this to 30 to 45 minutes. Just a little bit about the business, the model, what we're trying to do. But then on top of that, really open up for questions, because we've had quite a few questions come through offline. We wanted to answer them, and hopefully you guys also have some questions we can work towards as well. So David, Dal, maybe just over to yourselves to kickstart. And in the meantime, I will be sharing my screen so you can see everything.
Perfect. Yes, thank you very much, Alex. As the screen is sharing, yeah, this is a place we like to start on these. So my name is David Johnson. I'm the CEO of a company called Leo Crowdfunding. We're an equity property crowdfunding platform, and we are working along with Alex and Pete and the CoCity team for raising funds for this project. Obviously, Alex and the team are very aware of Financial Conduct Authority regulation and compliance issues around fundraising. For anyone who's not aware of that, I'd certainly encourage you to go onto the FCA site. 1st of August, they actually had another policy statement all about raising funds, particularly for property as well as related industries. So it's a very real concern for property developers, and that's why we're on board here with Alex and the team. So you see along the bottom there, Leo Crowdfunding is an appointed representative of Sharon Limited, which is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. So we're not making any investment recommendations. We're going to share information with you. What we're going to cover today has been submitted by Alex and the team and has been approved and authorised as a financial promotion. So encourage you obviously to do your due diligence, look at the information, ask questions, and you can make an investment decision for yourself. So I come from 22 years experience in the world of property. I'll just hand over to Dal for a quick hello from him, and then back over to Alex and the team.
Yes, thank you, David. Thank you guys for having us on here. My name's Dal Wright. I'm the investor portfolio manager for Leo Crowdfunding. So I deal with all of investor related questions, queries, go through the actual and support and help our investors throughout the investment journey with CoCity.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Pete, maybe I can just hand over to you just as a brief intro. I know we're going to talk about the team later.
Sure. Yeah, so my name's Pete Craig. I look after community and partnerships for CoCity, which involves everything from our local authority partnerships to our commercial partners, food and beverage, leisure partners, and everything in between. It's a really exciting opportunity to be part of something that I think is going to be much bigger and much more widespread across the UK, not just from us, but also from other developers.
Yeah, and Pete's got a wealth of experience, 30 years plus. The grey hairs. The more time I spend around people with grey hairs, the more I seem to contract them.
You get them in your beard.
Get them everywhere. But you've got a lot of experience in creating businesses within multi-industries, not just the property as well. And we really do rely on all of our founding team who've got a lot of experience in this sector. I think 75 years plus. When you look at the team, the founding 4 team. So what I want to do is I just want to set the scene a little bit first. Obviously, appreciate this. This is more of an informal piece. It's about for those who come for the first time to understand who we are and what we're doing. Obviously, we are raising equity for the business right now. It's a little bit different to a project, which you might be used to on crowdfunding sites. This is actually for the whole business. So you actually get to become a co-founder and a shareholder alongside all of us. And I think that's something that's important to state. And what we're looking to do is obviously the opportunity to purchase up to 8.2% of the business. And we're doing this as a raise of 1.3 million. And this tranche here will be the one that is purely public facing. and this will be the only opportunity that we'll provide here at this point in time. So this is something that we spent, as David mentioned, a lot of time prepping and putting together, working with the FCA and working with David and the team to make sure everything that we had was in a good place. And it took a bit longer than expected, but that's obviously good because we had to go through those hoops that Sharing and the FCA put in place to obviously protect those in the retail sector. So in terms of what you can potentially achieve with this development, and I think this is important to note, is we are an early and growth company here, so we're on a cycle. We're not just a theory. We've got sites, we've got assets. We're going to talk about that, but there's a potential here to join us on the ride and see the opportunity for us to perform and to increase. And if we do perform as intended, there's a potential there to receive 7.4 times your initial investment by year 4 onwards. And that's 7.4 times, that's not 7.4%, so just making sure that's clear. And as well as that, we're looking to provide dividends as well for investors from year 4 onwards, once we create that cash flow and stable cash base, and that's from 4 to 7.5% onwards. I think as well as this, what we wanted to put together for those who came at this point and worked with us and put their faith in us was to create this CoCity Founders Club. And that's an exclusive club that's only there for shareholders in these first rounds. And with that, you get access to then get into every one of our future real estate deals as an equity partner. And obviously those equity partners have a higher return than you would do as debt, but also it's about being part of our future promotions, future news, parties, and everything we do moving forward. You guys get exclusive access to that. And as I mentioned before, that partnership in the future real estate development, I think, is a really great opportunity as we move forward. So hopefully, with the information that me and Pete are going to give you today, we can hopefully get you on board. That would be great. But overall, what we want to do is educate and let you guys know what we're up to in CoCity. So Pete, I don't know if you want to maybe just touch on the team a little bit, or do you want me to jump in first?
No, I mean, I think, what we've done very deliberately is kind of been strategic with the hires and brought in people that have got a lot of experience in scaling and growing these types of businesses. So, right from Karen all the way down to our advisors, each one of them brings a very kind of specific set of skills. Karen has got the MD and head of development. As a chartered surveyor, she's got a great deal of experience in putting sites together. But her actual kind of real world experience extends to things like the TfL kind of network. She was involved in the expansion of that. Manchester City Airport Group, she worked for in developing some of the cities and the assets around the airport, and she's done kind of city development and placemaking in Scotland as well, which kind of fits perfectly with the type of developments that we're doing. Philip as the CFO, 25 plus years, managing funds. I can't say the name of some of the funds that he's on the board of, but they're extremely well known, public facing kind of real estate investment companies, huge portfolios that most people would recognise, even if they're not in the property space, they would recognise those names. So Philip brings a wealth of experience in how to kind of structure these deals, but also how to make sure that as a company, we're operating, with a very kind of solid grounding. Alex, do you want to kind of just touch on the others?
So we've also brought on Michael as well. Michael, he brings something different to the team, and he's all about the investment side. So he used to work for Brookfield. He worked on all different kinds of investment review committees, investment committee panels, but also then really on the number crunching. And he's helped us put our operational model as well as our development model together to really fit this live, work and play piece. But on top of that, he helps bring in how we work in the low carbon element, which we'll touch on shortly. We've got the CoCity ambassadors, which are kind of like our non-executive directors, and we're working to put in more than what you just see there right now. But we focus specifically on community, local authorities, commercial and operators, and we bring people in who can really add value to us and to what we're trying to achieve. And then I guess as myself as well, I'm a chartered mechanical engineer. I spent 15 years in some of the most harshest locations across the world, and really just delivering on infrastructure right through the design phase from the start all the way through to the end. Project managed. The last project I worked on was a $300 million project in the Middle East, which was a joint venture with a government party as well. So used to seeing all different kinds of things and being at the thick end and solving problems, which is what real estate's all about. And I think just to kind of overall cement this, for me, when I was looking to build the business, I knew I couldn't do this myself, and I needed the right people around the business to help it accelerate and grow. And I think the people who we've managed to bring on really reflect, you know, the potential for the business, you know, the caliber, the quality of people coming in. You know, I think that really says a lot about what we're aiming to do and what their aspirations are as well. So what I was just saying is, I know I see some questions coming, and maybe Pete, you can just keep an eye on those as we go through, and if we can, then we'll answer a couple along the way. So yeah, make sure you're very interactive. We do like that. I think what's really good is just to tell you a little bit about our why and what we're up to, and this is what really drives us. And you know, we want to repurpose how people live, work, and play. And what does that mean? Well, it's looking at life holistically and looking at ways that we can create lifestyle, helping people not just with a roof over the head, but everything else that's going on. And I think we live now more so than ever post-COVID, in obviously times of austerity and difficulty with the cost of living crisis. You literally only need to switch on a tap to feel the pressures of living in today's modern urban society. And so we wanted to create real estate which would help alleviate that, help combat against the issues in the environment side, reduce that carbon footprint, but also create a place where people want to be, where they want to interact, they want to engage, and more importantly, they get value. And all of our developments are there to create huge amounts of value. So what is it that we do? But to repurpose the, you know, this, how people live, work, and play, we had to focus very much on repurposing failing real estate across the UK. And there's a lot of that to spare right now. As you only need to look at your high streets and you can see a lot of that, you know, the vacant for let signs or for sale signs, which is only going to increase. But more importantly is repurposing that into something that's useful. And we turn that into our clean and green, so it's a low carbon, community centred live, work and play experience. So we're taking these properties, partnering with local authorities who really need to find a way to make these assets work, and turning them into our community centred live, work and play experiences, which we bring our partners in from to help on that journey. And I think what's really important to note is this, you know, we've got a mandate as the UK to reach net zero by 2050 and 2045 in Scotland. And it's very high on everyone's agenda that we need to take these assets, both commercial and residential, and get them on that journey. And it's a £3 trillion industry that we have just hit the start of. £3 trillion, and that's only going to increase. It's most likely 6, 9, maybe 12 trillion, you know, over the next 4 or 5 years when we really dig into it. But that's a massive market to be at the front of. And we've got real first market mover advantage here because of the companies who we work for, our partners who we brought on board already, and our model of this community centred live, work and play. So we're working with, well, we were speaking to 29 local authorities, very much at the high level of the CEO and councillor level, of those who are interested on how we can input that and how we can put our model into their local authority and really help benefit their community and people within their constabulary. So this is something for us that we're very much focused on. We're taking the lead, speaking directly to local authorities and going direct to source. As I mentioned there, you know, it's this lifestyle focused living, which is all about meeting the demands of living in a society today. Pete, I don't know if there's anything you want to kind of mention, anything else on that?
No, I guess we could just take this opportunity just to ask a question. I was speaking to Dal earlier, and Dal said there was a question that he'd had come in. It's not on the webinar here at the moment, but that was really tying into this focus on local authorities. And yeah, it was, yeah, as if we're focusing on those as partnerships, many of these haven't got any money, you know, which, yeah, is quite well known. So the question was, can we elaborate on why we've chosen this route and the level of interest that we've received from local authorities, and what the benefits are for both parties. So I think, based on the conversations that you've had, that might be a good one.
Yeah, no,
to answer.
It's good because we went to an event. It's got like the UK MIPIM, it's called, in Leeds, and basically all the good and the great of the property world in the UK go down to this event, and the focus, this was in June this year, and the focus was all about how do we take our properties to net zero, and there was so much passion and drive to do that, but there was little real understanding of how to execute that. And I was there just speaking to a couple of heads of local authorities about what we were doing and what they were doing, and we found that there was a real gap there. But it's also something, one, that we can generally help improve. It's got a social value, it's got an environmental value, and there's a governance value there. And this is something that we've really brought in from the foundation, the UN Sustainable Goals. They're kind of our core. We're like, we can make this work. We've got an opportunity here to really help. And so when we start speaking, engaging, the people who speak to are like, yeah, this makes sense. It's hitting all of our mandates. This is exactly what we require for our local development plans, but it's also what the people want to see. So how can we get to work with you? And so that for us now is about finding the right partners, because obviously not every local authority is able to have properties or cash or partner or is willing to. And so we're working with a special company now who deals with this to get in and have those conversations, and that's what we've been doing for the last few months. So just wanted to, Daisy, just touch on what we call a new category of real estate, and this is community-centred flexible living. And we said that from everything that we've done over the last 2 years, this is something completely new to the market that doesn't exist anywhere else. And it's our belief that this is a market that's going to just basically go mental over the next 10, 15 years. And to be honest, I'm a little bit pissed off, because we created this model pre-COVID, and COVID's come along, and well, one way it's accelerated it, now everyone's wanted the idea. But no, that's a good thing for us, because obviously now there's much more demand. But essentially what we wanted to do is break down a lifestyle, which is your live, work and play, right? That's how humans are concocted to act with each other and to live by. So we took each one of those and we built in our own core values, which is flexibility, community and growth. And that's everything that we work and represent, both internally staff, for the sites we choose, the partners we choose, to also the tenants that work and live with us. And when we looked at the live component, what was really important was to offer true diversity and to really create affordable homes that people can really use. You need diversity in there. And so what we provide in our developments is very much mixed in terms of tenure. So we can go from social, we can go into rental, you can have shared equity, you've got co-living, and then you've got home ownership. And depending where you are in your life, you can level up, level down, and really move around in flexibility. You might go from one point where, you might not have much money, you're just starting a career, you might need to co-live. But then in a few years, you might have a partner, you might have a bit more cash, you might have a startup business that's working out well, and then you want to jump into your home ownership. But at the same time, you never want to lose the community, the friends, the network you've built up, which was always the case. And, the reason why we created this was because myself and a lot of the other co-founder members, we'd lived through all of these. I'd lived through every single one of these tenurships, and there was some good and there was some horrendous. And we knew there was a better way to do that.
I think the other thing, just to add as well, you said quality, affordable, but I think the important thing is to say as well that quality is at the heart of all of this, and there's no difference between the standard of the property or the quality of the property, whether you're buying to live yourself or whether you're on social or affordable housing. The quality within our developments is exactly the same. So we're removing the stigmatization that typically with property development sits around the social piece. Most people want to get rid of that, and palm it off to someone else. Actually, we want to bring that in and level the quality of that up and actually give people a fair chance.
Yeah, and there's plenty of studies around blind tenureship where people don't know what tenure they live by, and actually increases cohesiveness, the ability community to make bonds, the economic part of that as well. So there's a lot of the benefits, and we're a big believer and supporter of that. And then that moves into the work side. And we were keen that, you know, if you're going to live in a development, hybrid working's here, it will stay, but you don't want to always just be in your apartment, right? Your apartment's there to do the 3 Fs essentially, and I guess you can guess what the 3 Fs are. But essentially, why do you need to be in there to work? You want to be able to get away, so have a dedicated workspace. It doesn't matter if you're a white collar worker that works for corporate, or if you're a startup, or if you're in the hardware business. We've created these maker space, the service office spaces for you to grow. You know, there's events on there and regular abilities to build with the community, but build your knowledge, working with kind of leaders and business leaders inside and externally to that area. And we wanted to create that space where you could, you know, literally dip in and out as you need, as well as provide space for external businesses to use. And then we have the play side, which is for me my most important one, is what you do at the end of the day or the weekend or all the time. It depends on what you like. And this is kind of your looking at your health, wealth and well-being. So look at the physical side, the mental side, you know, what events are on. It's the cafe, bar, it's the gym, but also the social impact that we can provide, and basically the platform we can provide to enable the residents to find their voice and really do what they want to do. At the end of the day, we're not here to drag people to somewhere. We're just there as a platform to give them the tools to help themselves. And that's all we want to do. This is a development for residents. And the residents get to decide on how they want to live and work. We just create a story, a narrative, but it's up to the guys to finish that and finalise that last chapter or ultimate chapters in the book. I think that was really important for us. So, Pete, I don't know if you just want to quickly touch on this one.
Yeah. I mean, so to kind of make this really work and to create something that was scalable, what we recognised was that there are different phases of your life, and we also need to create kind of different spaces for people to take advantage of. So we created the hub, the spoke, and the village. The hub is our kind of, real city centre kind of base. And this is typically going to be kind of food and beverage on the ground floor, some co-working, some co-living, and then some residential. So this is a place that you can pop into. You can utilise maybe the co-working while you're in the centre of town. You can use it for meetings, and then there are some other kind of facilities there as well. The spoke is kind of a larger development that kind of typically sits kind of around Midtown or just in what you might call the suburbs. And this, again, carries the same model, but has a much broader mix of accommodation that's available. Also includes perhaps a larger gym and leisure space, and a larger kind of food and beverage offering, and possibly even some of the makerspace type things that Alex was talking about before. And then finally, kind of working on the basis of the kind of 15-minute cities and the 20-minute neighbourhood model. The village, is essentially new towns. So it's the new kind of iteration of the 60s and the 70s new town movement, which is essentially creating everything that you need within a condensed 15-20-minute space, and really allowing us to create that community neighbourhood feel. That everyone over the last 2 years, over the last 3 years, throughout COVID, realised that actually we really all need and we miss.
I think the village side, there is plenty of examples of 15-minute city. Check out Carlos Moreno. He kind of developed that concept. But what we wanted to do is create a new blueprint of how future cities can be run, and we've got 2 right now that we're trying to put a position on. They're in our pipeline that we've done some extensive master planning on, and it's about how you take multiple diversity, so taking those mixed tenures, Then you layer that with the commercial that is required to enable that community to function in a work environment, as a play environment, socially, economically, environmentally, and sustainably. And it's a really interesting concept which we've put in together with anthropologists, with our own professional team, to create this space that's truly interactive and on demand. So it's not just 50,000 square foot of retail space and shops. That's not what people need. People want experiential. They don't want transactional. And we're seeing that experiential commercial real estate movement kick off. And I think that's what here to stay. And Pete mentioned it. Why have we got 3 products? You think, well, just concentrate on one. They all are the same product. It's just the size and location. The reason why we did this is because social mobility patterns of humans right now is completely different to it was 3-4 years ago. And not everyone now wants to be city centre focused, but they are still aware that they need to perhaps work in the city centre. So everyone who's a co-citizen, basically a member or a resident of CoCity, they can use the facilities all over the UK. They can take advantage of that. They can work and live in a spoke or a village outside of town, and then travel in and use a co-work in the serviced offices. They might bring clients over. They can then use the co-live in the PRS. So it's that multi-network approach that we also want to take advantage of. Touched on this briefly, but we've also did a lot of work around, which is our design IP. It's called the Community Street, and this is very much this on-demand space. And we spend a lot of time with a lot of experts in the co-living area, anthropologists, connections, community, spatial architects. And it was to say, like, how do we create a space that creates collisions? So you can bring commercial and residential together, but create some really exciting connections, whether that's business related, whether it's personal, romantic, economic. And we created the space to allow those different transient moments throughout the day. So it's not just one space all the time. It can evolve to what it needs to be and adapt to that. And that's something that we try to bring to all of our developments, all of our true core city developments. And yeah, it's something that we're quite proud of to bring in there. To be honest, I could speak about amenities all day. But these are just a couple of the items that we work on. Every site is unique, and we work not just on creating standard amenities. It's about what we do a demand assessment. So, okay, well, what does that local area need? What does our residents need? But what does the local area need? We're trying to engender community. We're trying to bring everyone together, not just within, but also externally, so we can get that true collaboration and buy-in and create the value, which is what residents are wanting, value in all parts of life.
Can I just jump in there 1 second on that last slide? So it was just, from our point of view as the platform, working with you guys on your vision. And I suppose that's a big word that gets bandied about in business and in property vision. But, we have been really impressed, by you guys in terms of, yes, you've got your high level vision, but there's a real attention to detail and drilling down into the nuts and bolts of your concept. And I think the slide you've just talked through there shows the level of detail that you've gone into. I think it is impressive, and it's, it just shows that for this to work, there has to be detail. But you've certainly laid out a plan and a vision to actually deliver that for the clients, which I think is impressive.
Yeah, very much so. I think that's it. Like, at the end of the day, we live by the residents. The whole focus is on them and enabling them to enjoy life as they want it. It's that on-demand, end-to-end living, and so we're only as good as the tenants we have, right? As good as their experience and their experience. I think we just want to touch on Jenny today. We're a couple of years old, but we've been slowly growing with experience. Obviously, you can see that with the team. Obviously, started with just myself, and then the team's grown, but also projects that we've got. And we spent a lot of time building the model, testing it, but then obviously bringing that to sites that are going to construction right now, one this month, and another one at the end of the year, which I'll talk about shortly. So we have 2 projects online that we own right now, which is really cool. And we've got a site in Guildford, one in Aberdeen, and we've got a large pipeline as well, which we're now attending and bringing into the legal control. One of the things which we're also proud of, there's been quite a few things recently, is we raised a seed investment round, so a convertible loan note, that was in Q1, and we brought in £650,000, which is a real powerful intent that obviously investors were really keen to get on board and work with us, and hence what gives us the momentum to move into this phase to finalise the cash we need to build out our pipeline and really grow exponentially and deliver value to you guys as potential shareholders, but also to the residents of the model. We also signed a couple of MOUs with tier 1, tier 2 contractors to help support, and essentially the last 3-6 months it's all been about partnerships. So looking at the key areas of operations, community, commercial, we've got the construction, the finance, you know, all those areas of real estate, both in the development as well as operation, and putting them in place, the local authorities. And now we've got partners in all of these areas, which is enabling us to go out with a lot more focus, but a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for, more weight, so a lot more weight behind it, because we've got these partners along our side, so we can come in and plug and play almost our model into those various sites. So in terms of live projects, we've got the site up in Aberdeen, as I mentioned. That's our spoke site, if you remember the hub, the spoke and the village. And that's a real interesting piece. It's 48 apartments, 15,000 square foot of co-working, bar, mixed real and on-demand space. This is a old oil and gas disused office, and now we're going to turn this into a low and potentially net zero carbon live, work and play development, which is a real great story for Aberdeen, but also the transition that they're trying to go through, as well as the rest of Scotland and the UK. This one we've got planning on, we own the site, we're just finalising the details with the contractor, and it's been taking a little bit longer than we wanted, just because of the kind of state of play of the economy right now. And we're also having to do a bit of value engineering. You know, everyone has had to do that in the real estate world, and we're not immune. So bringing that, get that cost control certainty, and we'll be moving ahead in Q4. That is the plan right now for a build. So very exciting on that one. And then we've got Guildford as well, which is more of our hub model. This is currently JV and it's moving out of that. Some quite exciting strategy pieces. We had planning going in for up to 25, we've got planning for 13. And right now there's a mix of commercial, residential, and there's not a bigger opportunity to play there. But as I mentioned, we're just working through that piece right now, and hopefully we'll have a little bit more exciting news to tell in the future. So I think David mentioned, obviously, live projects is key. This is not something that is just in our heads. We are delivering on this, and I think that's really key for us, is we want to deliver, build and operate. And that's why, you know, a real estate development company is only good as the pipeline and the team, as well as the model. So what we've been doing is working towards developing this pipeline. Now, this slide is a little bit old because you can probably see down March, July. We've moved quite a lot on from a lot of these as it stands. I think our GDV is a little bit higher than that right now in terms of the estimated market GDV of the pipeline. We've got a fantastic village opportunity in Dundee, which we're just working through. We've been doing some master planning. That's a potential partnership with the council on a really great site, and that's a village model. And we're really keen to get a village model in play because it demonstrates all of our products, but how you can really truly create this future blueprint of a city, as we discussed before. We've got a couple of others, sites one in Newcastle, we've got one in Kingston, Glasgow, Luton, we've got some more in Aberdeen. They're all under appraisal, and we're just now moving 3 of those hopefully into the legal pipeline so that we can take control and build these out. And they're a mixture of the hub and spoke models. So we're really excited by this. This was a real blocker for us at one point, you know, back in, I think probably April, May. Well, before then, to be honest, we had all of these sites coming to us, especially now that we're working with local councils, but we didn't have the ability to appraise them and pull them through. capital was also a pinch point, and why we went for the initial investment round. And now that we've managed to bring Michael on board, we've got the model in place, and now we're building the relationships with councils, we're able to pull these through. And yeah, like I said, a couple of these we're hopeful that will go into our pipeline this year. And the plan, I think the forecast is to bring another 2 into the legal pipeline this year, to keep us on target towards our 3 and 5 year plan. So where are we targeting? I think that's really important to note. One thing is we were really careful when we looked at this place. It looks like we just threw a load of darts at the UK map there after a couple of beers, but it wasn't really the case. We've got a specific demographic that we look at, and we're not age exclusive, but it tends to be 18 to 40s, and in certain cities which proliferate white collar, blue collar workers, has a demand for business as well as retention of larger commercial institutions. And so what the sites we've got were all based around that, and some real thought process went into it. On top of that, we're then currently just working with 5 of those locations, because we know the local authorities are really keen, as I mentioned before, with the company we're working with, are really keen to build out models, this low carbon live, work and play experience. And that's something that we really want to work with. Remember, it's this £3 trillion market we're in. We want to be at the head of that, supporting local authorities. The Aberdeen one is another example of that partnership that we're working with. We hopefully by the end of that, we've got the Scottish National Investment Bank and the local council working with us to deliver, and we want to then bring that model throughout and repeat that. So one is because it's a great way to then deploy faster, but it creates and expands what we're trying to do, not just for ourselves, but hopefully other developers can then take that on board. So we're working with 5 of those right now. We've got Bristol, actually got Brighton in there, we've got home counties, Manchester, we're already looking at Edinburgh, and the other one was Birmingham. Yeah, which isn't actually on that one, but Birmingham is one of the sites. I think that was the one that was missing, so apologies for that. The whole point is that we want to create this network of spaces, as I mentioned, and try and build a hub and a spoke, at least in 16 cities across the UK. That then allows people to, one, travel within their whole town, but as well as we move work and this hybrid kind of work pattern, you might need to be in London, you might need to be in Manchester, but we want you to have a home from home, so you can just go in and feel, okay, I know this place, I know the people, I know what I'm going to get into, and I feel comfortable, and I know I'm going to get value from here. And that's kind of really what we've been focusing on.
Do you want to dive into some of the questions?
Yeah, so
I'm only seeing one of them at the moment, and I know there's more.
There's, for some reason, what I'm going to have to do is the link to the site is not on this slide for some reason. So I'll bring up the link shortly on another one, David, if that's all right, David and Dal. So you can just talk through that.
I've put that on the chat, so you can actually share that on the chat. So if you want to just share that to everyone, along with the calendar invites. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, no worries. What I'm going to do, Pete, do you want to just go through those?
I can only see one of the questions, and I know there's more there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can go through the questions. That's absolutely fine. So just from me, I think one of the key things that we were impressed with was certainly kind of the experience behind CoCity, and I would encourage investors to do their research, book a meeting with Alex or myself to find out more. I think David would agree. So yeah, I'm just going to go through the questions. We have got some good questions here. So how frequently are you expecting investors, shareholders to be updated about the operations of the business after the investment round is closed?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm just bringing this piece up. So hopefully you guys can all see that. Can you see that, Dal? Is that
Yeah,
on?
I can see that.
So that's a good question, and although we don't have shareholders yet, obviously we've got loan note holders who will convert to shareholders once this round closes, and we've already started quarterly updates with them. And so every quarter we sit down and give them an explanation of where we are financially, where we are from an operations perspective, from a team, what our goals are, what were the challenges, and what our KPIs are and how we're moving towards those, and kind of bigger strategic points. And so that happens once a quarter, and that will continue to happen.
Great, thank you. I think leading on to the next question, so when are you expecting to close the investment round? So when are we expecting to close this?
Yeah, so I know, much to everyone's frustration, we had a small hiatus, and I'm quite open and transparent, because we were closing on a property deal, which is obviously important for the business. It's good, you probably want to hear that, we're actually buying property and building it. So that's took us a week or two, but we are back in full swing, and we will be closing this round hopefully by the end of this month, I believe, David. That's the target.
Okay. Page 25 of the offer document mentions that this is an asset-backed offering. How will this be implemented? For example, will investors, shareholders have a charge over the property?
No. So how does it work? Now, it's a really good question, and I don't have the slide hand in the backup, which I normally do. Do I have it on this one? No. So essentially, just to stop moving around, because I'm sure you're all a little bit sick there. If you can see my hands, we've got the top course, the holding company. Underneath that, what you've got is the development company, all of the projects, as well as the property company, which creates rent. We build money, we create money and value in the business through three ways. We do the developments and sell, so that creates big lumps of cash, every 18 to 24 months. We create fees by managing the project, selling, purchasing, transaction, development. So we get development management fees. And then we also get the rental portion. So there's three ways that we really truly make capital for us and for you, for the potential shareholders. Now, what we are doing with that. Sorry, Dan, what was the question? I went on a tangent.
Just in regards to the asset.
Sorry,
so the assets that belong to CoCity at the moment. If you were to obviously invest in the top co,
yeah. So essentially, we were making the cash through that way as apologies. That's where I wanted to go. And then with the top co, you get basically shareholding in everything of all of the money, how we make it, but also all of the properties. And we've got two properties, as I mentioned, under ownership there. You've got the IP, you've got the relationships that we've created. There's the model, this community centre flexible living model. It's everything that we're doing with the councils. You have basically an ownership. You are a co-founder alongside us. That's how we like to do it. Warren Buffett always says, when you buy shares, you actually become a business owner. And we don't want to do that in a scary way, but we also want to say, hey, come along with the ride with us. You sit by us and you get to experience that and share in hopefully all the opportunity.
So just to abbreviate that, so the two assets that you've got on CoCity, the shareholders in the top co would also be a shareholding of those two assets, generally as a top co.
As a top co, yeah, because the top co owns 100% of everything, right?
Okay.
So you, as an owner of that, you automatically own a part of everything else, which includes the properties.
Excellent. What would be CoCity's course of action if the target or minimum funds being sought for the fundraisers are not raised by the investors?
So if we weren't to hit the minimum tranche right now?
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't think that's the case. By the way, this was not obviously I'm just showing you, this is an older piece. So we actually already have investors in there already come in. And I don't think we'll not make the 350 minimum target. But if we did, for example, that wouldn't affect us too much because we are creating money in the business. As I mentioned, we've got sites that are live, being built and sold. And so that creates internal revenue. And where we are right now is to become cost neutral and cost positive in terms of generation of cash. That happens at the end of this year. The money that we're raising here is really for the growth. It's the pipeline, bringing in the staff, but also the ability for the professional team, for doing the surveys, for working with the architects, putting the scheme in place, the planning. It's that we want to do so we can grow a lot quicker. If we don't, it's fine. We'll just grow a little bit slower. That said, you know, we are working with some more, how do we say, like
some other investment groups.
Yeah,
some other investment partners. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's more like the professional, the corporate side who want to maybe take a whole stake in that at a lot larger piece. Hence why this tranche is very much looking at the public facing side. We want to give you the opportunity. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question. We don't expect it to be. If it didn't, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It just means our growth would be a little bit slower. But yeah, that's hopefully answered the question.
Thanks, Alex. Just a couple of questions that have come directly to me. So I understand that investors in the top co also have the opportunity to invest at a equity level in CoCity in future deals. For clarity, does future deals mean real estate projects? Does that fall under the top co or future equity raises in the top co, or both?
Okay, really, really good question. So whoever answered that, I need to give you a medal or something, because that's a really good answer, a good question. So it means two things. The first one is about investing in future real estate projects of CoCity. Now I can tell you this because this is a raise it's been done. For example, on one of the projects we've got, we offered as an equity partner 25% return. That's obviously predicted return based on an equity holding within the development itself. And so what we did is we actually went to our loan note holders, because they're our future shareholders, and we said, look guys, before we go to anyone else, you've got first rights to come in here. If that works for you, perfect. Because everyone's a little bit different. You might have a bit of cash now that you want to just get within a year. You might not want to look at the longer time frame, and that could work. It might not. But we always want to give that opportunity to you guys first before anyone else. So that's the first way you can become a partner in the projects, and we'll always come to you guys first. The second piece is those who come in right now, you know, this is the development engine. So we've got the development engine that makes the cash, it makes the spaces, but ultimately we're going to operate those spaces, right, to make this CoCity, this community centre flexible living product. This operation vehicle we are just about to start to create. This has automatically got pipeline because we've got homes that need to be operated. We will do a raise in that in the future, but only those who have come in at this stage will get the opportunity to come in here. And that's I think as well in itself is a great opportunity. Obviously we can't talk about it now, and that would be wrong, but you have the potential to look at the CoCity in the wider picture and be involved in that large journey.
Great, thank you, Alex. I've got a few other questions that have come out to me directly. So obviously you mentioned that you know, you've got a great relationship with local authorities. I guess the main of these, you know, many of these questions are around them not having any money. Can you elaborate on why you've chosen this route and the level of interest you have received from the local authorities? What are the benefits for both parties?
I think we did answer that one earlier, Dal. I read that one out.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Do you want just to summarise again?
Yeah, kind of. So just recap again.
just around the relationship, I think,
Yeah.
with the local authorities. Just the main point being there. So, what is that relationship? What does it look like?
Yeah.
Would that tender into something further? And I guess that's kind of the bulk of that question.
Sure. Yeah, so I mean, local authorities, you know, many of them, even if they haven't got money, a lot of them have got assets, and those assets, you know, they're struggling to do anything with. Plus, they're also under kind of pressure from a government level, to meet these targets of kind of net zero. So a lot of these older buildings, they can't do anything with. They haven't got the money to bring them up to standard. Yet they're also under pressure to upgrade and to meet these environmental targets. So they're kind of very, very keen to kind of work with us and partner with us, because it means that they get to bring those buildings back to life. They get to see them brought up to A-rated standard. In many cases, that's our goal, is to bring all of the buildings up to A-rated, and where it's possible. And also, because we're not knocking them down, then we're also saving on the we're also making savings on the embodied carbon, which again is another big thing that all of the councils are being targeted on by, and actually industry, the kind of built environment is actually being targeted to reduce its impact from that perspective. So this is why they're so keen to speak to us. As Alex said, we were speaking to 29 different councils across the UK. We've now honed in, and there's between 5 and 12 that we're having very serious conversations with, because we've already started to identify that they have assets. You've already seen these assets as well. Be that buildings or land, that is possible for us to kind of roll that model out on. So we've gone from everyone being interested to really nailing this down to a few councils that actually have assets that we could utilise right now, and we're exploring those opportunities. Whether it's through funding that they have, whether it's through access to funding that they can get hold of, grant funding, because we are bringing these buildings up to a much higher standard, and we're meeting many of these targets that are within the College Government's net zero strategy.
I think what's just important, just to finalise that point, is we're a small company, right? We can't compete a lot with the bigger companies in the direct market, and so what we wanted to do is say, well, okay, how can we go in so we can get direct to off-market deals, but we're actually hitting our targets and what we're, the UN sustainable goals, but also what we want to achieve as a business. And local authorities, because we're building community, it's a natural fit that we have to work with them on the operation side. So why not work on the development side? And so it was a natural fit. We're hoping to build and take their properties. We can then come up with a strategic objective that may not be financially the best outcome for them, in terms of, if they just wanted to sell the site in the open market, they might get a lot more, but what they're going to win in social value and economic value, governance, sustainability, that's a big win, and can mean a lot more for them in terms of the longer picture. And that was the drive, and that's what we as a business decided to concentrate on. And we're seeing that now, 3 of the sites that we're hopefully, like I mentioned earlier, going to put into the pipeline because of those discussions.
Great, Alex. I think I've got one final question. I'm not sure if you've got the slides for this, but just further clarity on the shares and the return on investment that's offered, and how it kind of, we should have it possibly, and how that works out.
Yes, I do have it. Just hold on. This is a slide that we have approved, so don't worry from a regulation perspective. It's just on a different slide. So I'm going to show you this, and then hopefully that can I think, is it this one? Yeah. So I believe this is an example of estimated returns, and obviously we've been through this process. We've got a whole projections sheet which is available. I think that's also part of the documentation. Again, if you want to have a discussion on this, please feel free to reach out to Dal or myself, or we'll be able to talk you through this. So where we are is 7.4 times your initial investment. That's what we believe. So that's return on capital, and that's to happen over the next 4 to 5 years. What we did though is, back in July, we wanted to be a little bit more conservative. So we pared back, because a couple of our sites were delayed to getting into construction. Now they're in construction, as I've mentioned. One's going in this month in September, but we pared that back a little bit, just to make sure that we were happy as a board, and that we were given the right information back to the investors. We still believe we could make 7.4, potentially more, but if you were to bring your cash in, for example, in over 4 or 5 years, you can see the equity multiple and what that would look like in terms of a total return. That's including your investment for the 4 and 5 year piece. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that, how that works, the projections, what I'd say is just, again, come and talk to us. Philip, our CFO, has put a whole video piece together on that. I'm sure we can share the video with you, just explaining the projections. The projections have already been reviewed by Sharon and the team at Leo as well. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you, Alex and Pete. I think, yeah, that's all the questions answered. Again, if you can just share the diary with investors, and also the link for the pitch page, and that's just in the background there. That's how to actually commit yourself and invest. So you can literally click on the Leo site, register via the link, and that will allow you to then put your details in. It's a 5-minute process at the most. Answer some very quick questions, upload for AML purposes a quick copy of your driver's license or passport, and that will then allow you to be investor ready. Once you're investor ready, you'll be able to pledge towards the actual deal itself using that link.
Yeah, so I just popped on the ways to kind of maybe I've not done this correctly. I didn't add it to everyone. So just give me a second. I popped on my details, so how you can either reach out and book a meeting with me directly, how you can just reach me by email or by phone. So hopefully you can all see that in the chat group. Feel free, again, with Dal to come on, have a chat and go through it. We've already got investment into this, and we're looking to bring in more of this closing weeks and put that real focus on closing this out now. And yeah, it would be great to have you along on the ride. And just hopefully this has been of use, and you can really truly see not just the value of our model, the community-centred flexible living approach, how that's going to only accelerate as things get harder and society, that pressures in society become difficult. But on top of that, how you can see the opportunity of this £3 trillion market that we're really at that wave, that peak to kind of ride over the next 5, 10, 15 plus years.
Can I just confirm, Alec, is the intention to send out an email following this webinar to the attendees, then with the link to the pitch pages, so they get maybe a recording of this as well, and then a link to the pitch pages? Is that the plan? Yeah,
I mean, I know if you log on to the Leo site, you can get all of the investment memorandums there, but I think we can send a direct link as well.
No, you can't get it from the site, being a private raise. They can't get it directly from the site. And the link that Dal put up earlier, if you do want to share it as well in the chat for everyone,
yeah,
then at least they'll have that pitch pages to go for.
Yeah, that's the one. Sorry, that's what I meant. Is this one here?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
So yeah, if everyone on the chat has a look, you've got my Calendly details, you've got my phone number, you've got the offer tranche, and I think, like I said, Dal and ourselves will be following up. And if you want to book in a meeting and have a discussion on this, just let us know.
Yeah, and I'll just finish by saying, just to be clear, at this stage, what people do is they make an investment pledge, and then when the raise closes, there's a shareholder agreement comes out. You obviously get a chance to review that, and it's when you accept the shareholder agreement is when then you're committing to the raise. So if this is something that you're thinking, look, I'm pretty confident I want to invest in this, but not 100% sure, then you can go ahead and make your investment pledge. That then you're effectively secured like an option for those shares effectively. And then you've still got the ability to make a final decision at the shareholder agreement stage. But certainly I would recommend, if you are thinking this is for you, then follow the link that's just been put up and make your investment pledge. And then at least then you have you've secured those for you if you want to go ahead and execute.
Yeah.
David, just to add on to that as well, if you were to follow the link, and you'll be able to download what's known as an equity offer document, very much the high end of the project, full details, and there's also a forum there. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask through the forum. But that equity offer document should kind of give you most of the information that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Brilliant.
Fantastic. Much appreciated, guys. So just wanted to say thanks again for everyone listening and stayed, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.